All right, friends, in studio with us, well, hanging on the line with us, Mr. Josh Boschee, the living legend of Hatch Realty. J-Bo, my man, how are you today?
Morning, Eric. I'm doing well. We're all living in a brave new world, and I think some of us are enjoying the peace and quiet a little more than others.
You're more introverted than I am, although you are an extrovert also. How you faring through all this?
Good for the most part. I think I miss my dinners with friends and going out downtown, but hopefully those days are closer than they are farther away.
Yeah, we hope so. Josh, I, of course, have known you for a good portion of my life. We're coming up on 25 years now. That is,
I know.
that
Tells everyone how old you are.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just turned 40 and my hairline shows it. Josh, you and I go back a long ways. Walk everybody through your life and how you landed here as our broker and the big dog at Hatch Realty.
Yeah, well, most of my career I thought would be working in higher education. I was over at NDSU and MSUM, working in student activities and leadership for a number of years. And of course, you and I met before our college days in high school. I think we're both joiners. So through Key Club and other student organizations, got to know each other. But
yeah, you're from Minot. I'm from Fargo, and we met as like the two oversized personalities and oversized guys that were involved in a great way for us to meet people and socialize, right?
Yeah, it was us two, and then of course Mark Lindquist, who I think has an even more oversized personality than both of us.
Oh my gosh,
he's doing
isn't
great
that
things
the truth?
too.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we met back in high school. Then we both went to NDSU. I hired you once I got elected student body vice president to be our executive assistant. And I realized just how bossy you were from moment one.
I know how to get stuff done, Eric.
Yeah, you do. Well, we're fraternity brothers. We are lifelong friends at this point, and now we find ourselves working together at Hatch Realty. You, of course, have a background in higher education, but you're also involved beyond that, Josh, in the community and the state. What does that look like?
Yeah, I have the privilege of representing part of North Fargo, just in the State House of Representatives, and was elected in 2012, and have going on hopefully into my third term after this next election, November. But so yeah, real estate, higher education, state politics have kept me very, very busy, and I enjoy every minute of it. But being involved at the state level politics now has been definitely more engaging than we usually are, because as we meet every other year as a state legislature, and now it feels like we're meeting every day because there's so many important conversations happening.
What do we need to know that we don't know right now, Josh? Because you're on the inside of all the things of decisions that are happening at the state. You are seeing interesting times right now. What do we as a public need to know?
Well, I think first and foremost, continue to follow the CDC guidelines and the advisement of our governor and many of our other state leaders in terms of, let's minimize our contact with people, only do essential outings, cover our face when we're out in public, wash your hands, good hygiene, all those things. Right now the results are looking fairly good for North Dakota. I think we're happy with the fact that minimal impact compared to what we're seeing in other states. It's unfortunate we've had the number of deaths that we've had, and we'll likely have more. But the more that North Dakotans and people in the Fargo-Moorhead area can do to stay home, stay safe, and stay connected, the better off we're going to be, and hopefully get our summer back.
I'm itching just like you are, I know, and I think it's around the corner. God willing, I hope, so long as it's the healthy, right choice to do. Josh, you're involved in a lot of very interesting discussions on a state and local level. You get put oftentimes in the crossfire. You are a Democrat in a very, very red state. Tell me about what that's like, because I actually think that is one of the most tremendous gifts that you have, is your ability to stay calm amidst chaos and confrontation, which of course makes you a great realtor, a great broker, and a great person to work on the state legislative team. So walk us through what that's like.
Well, thanks. Yeah. It is, being in what we'd consider the super minority party in North Dakota, just based on numbers in the legislature, I've had to learn how to compromise. I've had to learn how to effectively advocate for the things that I think are important to the people I represent in North Fargo. And so I think it's given me the skills to be able to work with people who, I don't agree with sometimes, all the time, many times, but it's about how do we find that commonality, and and that's so important in real estate, right? It's a buyer seller negotiating, and so how do we get to the end goal where we're hopefully having a successful transaction? And so being involved, in regular conversations with the governor's office and other legislative leaders. I think what's nice about not only my ability to kind of cut through the crap and focus on the issues is that's what I'm seeing with my other colleagues, with my Republican legislative leaders, my other Democratic legislative leaders, the governor's office. We're all focused right now on making sure that North Dakota is safe, that North Dakota is healthy, and that we're getting the appropriate information out to folks, and hopefully going to have a strong economy coming out of this. It's not only the fact that we've shut down a good chunk of our economy just from a consumer demand and spending standpoint, but our ag economy over the last 2 years has struggled. Our oil economy right before this started to really flutter, and now we're seeing some dramatic changes happening there. So there's a lot of changes on the horizon for North Dakota, and so we have to think about not only how do we manage and get through this crisis, but what does recovery look like? What is the health of our communities, whether it's here in Fargo or up in Grand Forks or over in Bismarck and everywhere in between, to make sure that North Dakota continues to be a great place to live, work, learn, and play.
Mm-hmm. Again, those of you tuning in, Josh Boschee of Hatch Realty, as well as the North Dakota State Legislature. That's always a hard word for me to say, by the way, is legislature. Couldn't you just be in the House and it's easier for me to say?
Yeah, you're not alone with that. Many of us get tongue-tied with that one.
Josh, I wanna work with you a little bit and have people understand now some of the climate that we find ourselves in as realtors locally. Of course, with the new CDC guidelines and the aforementioned parameters that you shared with us of what we should be doing, how has the game of real estate changed, and how are we making sure that we're protecting our team members and especially our clients?
Yeah, what really makes it interesting being in Fargo-Moorhead is, many of the decisions around what type of businesses are open or can't be open, or what type of activities we're allowed to do, are being made at the state level. And Fargo-Moorhead and Grand Forks, East Grand Forks, and Wahpeton, Breckenridge, all three being border communities, what one state does might impact what the other state does, just because we cross a river to transact and to work in our business. So, what we're seeing is, at this point in both Minnesota and North Dakota, real estate is considered an essential service, an essential business. We have a lot of people in the middle of transactions, but surprisingly enough, in our market here in Fargo-Moorhead, and I've talked to other brokers at other real estate companies too, it's been a busy 3 or 4 weeks. Spring is our time of kind of ramping up anyways going into the summer, but it continues to stay fairly strong, I think more than folks would expect, knowing that much of our economy has gone down. But I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, again, Minnesotans, North Dakotans are following these CDC guidelines, that we as real estate agents have taken our jobs seriously and are coaching our clients, whether they're selling or buying, how to do this in a safe way. And technology has played an important role in real estate, and I think we're seeing even more, the implementation of virtual tours and self-guided tours through virtual reality. And those are all things we at Hatch Realty have been doing for years now. We've done Matterport, we've provided this service to our clients, and so it allows more eyes that are looking right now to look at more houses. And what I think we're finding is that our buyers are becoming much more focused, right? Instead of a buyer saying, I want to look at all 10 of these houses because they fit my criteria, they're starting to say, well, these are the 3 priorities. Let's start there and focus on those 3 to minimize their interaction with other people's homes or being out in public. And so far it's working. Folks are making great decisions and houses are continuing to sell.
Josh, valuable information, and it should be known too that at the top of the hour here, I gave some insight to the fact that our listings are down 51% to start April for the first 15 days, and yet the number of pended transactions, the deals that have gone under contract, are down less than 15%. And I think what we're going to see is on the back end of that, when we come out of this, we're going to see chaos like we maybe haven't seen before. Would you agree with that?
I would, especially if, again, sellers are ready to move and people are still gainfully employed. We'll, it's just moving the backlog down, to the next month. So what we usually see in March, we'll see in April. And what we've usually seen in April is now going to be really backed up into May and June. And so that's what I think we're seeing in those numbers.
Buckle up, Josh. We're in for a wild ride. And so thankful to have you in our world. Thankful to have you on air today. And folks, if you need to get in contact with Josh, you can find all his information at hatchrealty.com. Otherwise, Jabo, my man, God bless you. We're going to go to break. But in the meantime, folks, swing over to hatchrealty.com and see a little bit about Jabo. This is Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch.